Well, today we are starting a brand new series. If you're new with us, we like to do is take our messages, we clump them together, and we call it a series. And so today we're starting our Christmas series, which is exciting. Anyone see Turbo Man? What's it called? Jingle All the Way? Anyone see that movie? Yeah? So the first service, you know what we gave them? Booster. No? All right, you gotta see the movie, I guess. Okay, so the song that was playing during the bumper, and really kind of where we got the inspiration from this series, for this series, it's called It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year. Right now it's on, I think it's number 5 or 6 on the Christmas song charts. It's pretty popular, kind of a big deal. So let's talk about this word for a second here. Wonderful. Wonderful. What is it that is so wonderful about this time of the year, if you would agree that it is the most wonderful time of the year? I looked up the word wonderful. Actually, I asked Google what the word wonderful means, and she said exceedingly good, right? So it's the most exceedingly good time of the year. Really, what is it, you know? You thought about that? If you ask Andy Williams, who's the guy who sings this song, he would say there'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and caroling, you know. It's a catchy song. I don't really relate to it, connect with it very much because I'm not much of a hoster, you know. We don't do campfires and marshmallow toasting in December at my house. And I went caroling once. I was in middle school and it was a dare. And it was just me and 2 other guys. And I think everyone involved was uncomfortable. So anyway, but really, what is it about the Christmas season that makes it the most wonderful time of the year? If you take it a little deeper, right, and you think about the themes, you know, if you had to sum it up in one word, we see these themes, these words, like Christmas buzzwords, and they appear on the Christmas cards, usually on the serious Christmas cards. You know, there's the Santa, reindeer, Jingle Bells Christmas cards, but then there's the serious ones. They're usually dark, they have a night sky, and a word in script, right? It'll be peace, or joy, hope. And you'll hear it's the season of joy. It's the season of hope, the season of peace, peace on earth, the season of love. And I don't know about you, but I don't take things at surface value. And so I would hear stuff like that and just think, well, what does that really mean? What does it mean that it's the season for peace or the season for joy? Is it like fruit, you know, oranges are better in certain seasons, and so you just try a little harder, try to have a little extra hope during the Christmas season? What does it mean? What does it look like? And probably most importantly, how do you get there? What if, honestly, what if you're not feeling it around this time of year? What if the Christmas season is hard for you, especially if you just lost someone? What if you wouldn't describe the way that you're feeling as peaceful, hopeful, joyful, loving? Then what? You're just out of luck? For you, those things don't apply? Or is there a way there? Is there something we can do that can give us handles on those concepts? Last year we did a Christmas series and we really dove into the story with Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. This year we're looking at some of those Christmas themes. These Christmas buzzwords that come up, and they're usually tied into the concept of a season, like a season of peace or a season of hope, season of love, season of joy, and trying to pull them out of abstraction and understand how to get there, what they look like, and how those can actually apply to us, not just in the Christmas season, but year round. And so this week, in the time that we have left, we're talking about joy, the season of joy. You know, it's the Merry Christmas, It's the happy in happy holidays, and you'll see on Christmas cards, look for it. You'll see it's like, oh, it's a season of joy. Joy to the world. And so my question for you is really think. When it comes to joy in your life, or even joy in the Christmas season, what would it take for you to look back and say, that was a season of joy? What would it take for you to experience joy? Do you have a plan for joy? Are there steps you can take? And when I say look back and experience, I'm talking about a season. I'm not talking about moments, right? Like when I think about joy in the Christmas season, typically I think about moments, little like snapshots, It's the moment when finally all the preparations are done, you're sitting around the table and it's like, and someone takes a photo and that's Christmas, 1996, right? Or there's, it's the presents under the tree and they're being opened and you look at the face of your child and for 37 seconds, they're totally happy about it, And it's like, snapshot, that's the moment, joy. This is not what I'm talking about. Those are good, and we should remember those and take those pictures and keep them and cherish them. But what I mean is, how can we not experience moments of joy, but a maintained sense of joy all throughout the season? And maybe even beyond December. Is there a way there? Especially if you're not feeling it. Fortunately, for us, Jesus actually addressed this idea. He talked about this pursuit of joy, and he did it in a number of different ways and in a number of different stories, but there's one time specifically that I think applies especially well to the Christmas season. There's this one time he's addressing this crowd of people, and specifically two people in a crowd, and he tells them a story, which he was really good at. I don't know if he made these stories up on the spot, but they were always pretty powerful. I mean, he's Jesus, so he does some pretty impressive things. But here's the story, right? He says, the ground of a certain man. All right, so here we got a guy to start with. He's got land, which is a big deal, not just because it's good to have land, but because that's how you would provide for yourself back then, right? So he's got land. He's in a good place. Well, he's not just any old man. He's a certain rich man. So he's really in a good place. He owns land, and apparently he either has a lot of it or he's got other things in addition to this land. He's in a good place. That's the picture that Jesus is painting here. And he says, well, the ground of this certain rich man, you know what it did? It yielded an abundant harvest. Quite literally is the most wonderful time of the year for this guy. It's harvest time, and he is the guy, you ready? He's the guy who's got everything going for him, and it just got better. We all have people in our lives that are like that, and most of us are like so happy for them. Things are going well, and now he's just hit it out of the park. He's got a lot. He's got what everyone there wants, and boom, it just got a little better. And so this certain man in Jesus' story, he thinks to himself. He says, what shall I do? I have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy. Eat, drink, and be merry. There's our word. Jesus paints this picture of this guy who has it all. He's where everyone in the crowd wants to be at some point. And everyone is expecting him to say this, but this is actually not what he says. In the story Jesus is telling, he says, I'm not plenty, I have no place to store my crops. He doesn't see all that he has, like the ground and the fact that he's rich and the abundant harvest. He sees what he does not have in that moment at that time. And immediately that's where his attention is drawn, not to his plenty, but to his lack. He does not see what he has. And so he says, all right, here's what I'll do. This is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns. Hold on a second. We just found out he's got barns. He's already got a storage facility and other storage facilities, but he's gonna tear them down. Why? So that he can build bigger ones. Oh, shucks, this guy's really got a lot of problems here. You know, he's got so much stuff. It's like saying, oh, my wallet's not big enough to hold all my cash, right? And all he sees is what he needs to do. He's not there now. He's not there now. And then he said, there I'll store my surplus grain, and I'll say to myself, ready? You have plenty of grain laid up, remember these words, for many years. Take life easy. This word means to rest. Eat, drink, and be merry. It's out there. This story Jesus is telling, this is not a story about having too much stuff. This is a story about somebody who can't see that he already has what he's chasing after. His joy is out there, not right here. It's not like right now I'll rest. It's not a negative thing. When he says take life easy, it's not necessarily a negative connotation, but he can like stop striving, eat, drink, and experience joy, but not now, later. Joy's out there on the way. In other words, we have a version of this. It usually sounds something like, once I have, then I'll be. And we've spoken about this before. If you've been with us for a while, you know this statement right here, this is the thief of joy. Once, like not now, but out there. That's where joy is. It's on the way, and it's out there when I get it. Like when I get to that place. When I was growing up, I have said this in so many different places at so many different stages of life, it's unbelievable, right? I remember being in elementary school and be like, well, once I'm in middle school, I won't have to wait in lines anymore. I'll have my own locker, right? And then I get to middle school, it's like, oh, I just can't wait till I can get to high school, and then I'll be able to play on the team, you know, and then there won't be so much that, you know, and it's like, oh, well, after I want to get out of high school, like once I have my college or high school diploma, well, then I'll be happy. Once I have blank, then I'll have joy. But joy's out there. And you want to know something? Like every time I was wrong. Because when I got there, it was what's next. Once I have, then I'll be. Once I have blank, then I'll have joy. And my guess is you probably have your own version of this. Maybe it's a job. Like once I have that job, once I have that house, once I have that girlfriend, that boyfriend, once I'm married, well, once I have kids, well, once I have, then I'll be. And that, like when you hear yourself say that, a light bulb should go off. You should see a red flag. It is the thief of joy. Because it's not true. And there's a Christmas edition to this, right? There is once we get to the place where we're finally sitting down and everything's, well, then I'll have joy. I'll enjoy those moments. I gotta wrap everything, I gotta do everything, I gotta go to all the shops, I gotta sit in all this traffic, I gotta write this, I gotta do this, I gotta go there, I gotta get this in order, and then I'll have. And what we're doing is totally taking away the opportunity to experience joy in the process. Because joy's out there. It's not here. And so Jesus actually warns. against this. This story actually starts with a warning. He says he's talking to two brothers who are arguing over money. And he says, watch out. This is before the story starts. This is how he introduces the story. Watch out. Like, just be aware. He says, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Now, when you and I hear the word greed, it's like, ooh, no one wants to feel like a greedy person. It seems almost sinister. But the word in the original language for greed, it literally means wanting more. And that's something that kind of hits me like right between the eyes, It's easy to say, well, there are greedy people. I don't know if I'm one of those greedy, but watch out for wanting more. Well, that's every day. And so that's why Jesus is like, watch out, be on your guard. Why? And this is what shows us so much about why Jesus says what he says. Not because it's wrong and I don't like that and you're breaking one of my rules. Not because I'm the cosmic killjoy who loves to tell people what to do. But he says, why? Because life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. In the original language, this idea here is not even necessarily things. It's just acquiring. So it could be things, or it could be experiences, or it could be whatever it is that you're filling in the blank with once I have. Jesus is saying, that's not true. If you think that's where your joy is, it's not there. And the reason he says watch out is because wanting more is not a bad thing. It's not. It's not a good thing, but it's not a bad thing. It's a thing. But what we can say is that more does not lead to joy. And sometimes we sacrifice the things that matter because we have come to believe that more equals joy. Like I said, Jesus is talking to two brothers they're arguing about money. And it's because both of them believe that if they have money, their lives are going to be better. If they have a little more will equal better. More will equal joy. And Jesus is saying, watch out. Watch out. You may be fighting for a road that does not have a stop at joy. So he gives us a warning. Watch out. Be on your guard. Because life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. And so, what's the answer? What do you do then with joy? There's really two things going on here, and one kind of builds on another. One is a little bit more subtle and less obvious to us, and the other one is pretty clear. Jesus starts off kind of making a point in his word choice. And we miss this because we can't read it in the original language. But the word that Jesus uses for an abundant harvest, the words he uses for that phrase, sound almost exactly the same as the words he uses for be merry. In other words, the people that are listening to him, or I should say that are reading this in their original language, it would almost sound like Jesus is saying, here's a guy whose land gave him happiness. And you know what he thought to himself? Well, once I do X, Y, and Z, well, then I'll have happiness. Jesus is implying you have what you need to experience joy. But because he sees the lack and not the plenty, joy is out there. It's something he's not giving himself permission to experience. We've said this before, but really, gratitude is not in the story, but this is the point he's making. He is not choosing to see what's good now and here. He's chasing after what might be good later out there. Gratitude, it is simply It is simply seeing the good, choosing to see the good, to shut down the once I have, then I'll be, and to look at what's good right in front of you. And I'm telling you, I find myself in this position every single day. Just yesterday, I was here doing some work, and I'm trying to get it done, and I hear myself, like, I just gotta get this done, and then I'll go, and I'll like, have fun, I'll go enjoy what, and I'm like, and I just stopped and like, hold on a second. What if right now, I just stopped and appreciated the fact that I get to do something that I love to do? And instantly, there's joy. But we choose not to see it. Or rather, we don't choose to see it because our natural inclination is to chase what might be one day. And in doing that, we rob ourselves of joy. The invitation is to stop and see the good here and now. So I really love bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches. Yeah, like on a bagel. But this has happened to me several times, and I have not learned from my mistakes. I'll order it when I'm really, really hungry, and I'll sit down, and then, when my kids will start talking to me, and I just like inhale it, gone. And I look down, and I'm immediately thinking, where's the other half, And I ate it. But I'll actually be disappointed and be like, I forgot to enjoy it. This is the idea. And so often we look back when the sandwich is gone and we're like, that was good, but I missed it. I wish I would have appreciated it then. You stop and just watch how joy, how gratitude leads to joy. Just by stopping and choosing, not to put a positive spin on everything, but to choose to see what's good. It actually makes a difference. Some of you might have heard of someone named Brené Brown. She's a researcher. She studies human emotions. She said she made a commitment to never talk about joy without talking about gratitude, because the two are so closely connected with one another. It is the way we experience joy. And from there, gratitude leads us to do something that this guy does not do or experience because he does not see the good in his life. God enters the story here, shows up and has something to say. It says, this is after he's decided, all right, joy is one day out there. It says, then God said to him, which is probably pretty scary, you fool. Now, that sounds like God's just name calling. The ancient idea of a fool was somebody who did something that did not help them. Someone who lived in self-destructive ways and just continued to do it. He's saying, you're living in a way that is not benefiting you, right? This is self-destructive. He says, you fool. This very night, your life will be demanded from you. He's gonna die. This is not a punishment. He's just saying, you're gonna die. And death has the ability to bring things into perspective. It says, your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? The answer there is no one. And so this guy never arrives at joy. And neither does anyone else in his life with the stuff that he has. This is a story of a lonely pursuit of happiness, of joy. He doesn't let anyone else into his life, into what he has, and it all just slips away. It's a story of waste. All the while accumulating and never enjoying and never sharing. And this is the second part of the answer here. What do we do to experience joy? Well, we see the good in our lives. And from that, in response to that, we choose to be generous, to practice generosity, to give, Jesus said, in fact, Jesus was known for saying, we actually don't have a quote of Jesus saying this, we just have somebody saying, you know how Jesus always said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Now, blessed, that's like a religious fill-in word that we just put in different places, and a lot of times it means nothing. But the idea here is, the actual meaning of the word is happy, joy. There's more joy to be found in what you let go of than in what you hold on to. And this is one of those things, most of us know this, but we don't believe it. We choose not to practice it because it's so much easier to hold on to it. I mean, think about it. Think about some stuff that you've really wanted, that you've gotten. Like for me, I wanted this motor scooter when I was younger. I was totally convinced I wasn't gonna get it. Then it was under the tree. And it was like amazing, best thing ever. But you know what? A year later, the wheel fell off and the thing wouldn't start. And okay, well, now I don't have it anymore. We move on. But in those times in my life where I have given something, we can even say something of equal value, the joy from that, like I still look back on those things I've given and it still brings me joy. Because that kind of joy is lasting. If you think about the people in your life that have made an impact on you, it's what they've given to you. Not just money, but time, energy, what they have invested. Their generosity has made an impact on you. And you wanna know something? At the end of your life, do you know how you will measure the quality of your life? You will measure it by what you've given. Not because you're supposed to, but that's just how we are. Nobody asks, as a pastor, I spend time with people at the end of their lives. Still, to this day, no one has asked for their checking account balance. Nobody wants to know how much money they have, because that's not the thing you look back on. They want to see the people they've poured into, they've given themselves to. Those are the things that bring us joy. We choose to let go rather than choose to hold on. And so what if we looked for opportunities to give? So if you've missed everything that I've said, and you're just waking up, the idea here is if you want this season, or any season, there's nothing magical about December. If you want to look back and experience a maintained sense of joy, the handles you grab onto, the steps that you take are simply gratitude and generosity. Or go ahead, we can do that, seeing the good and looking to give. Seeing the good that you have and looking to invest in the good of others. And you know what's interesting? You could believe nothing about Jesus or God or anything like that, and this will work. And so there you go. Now, about 2,000 years ago, there was a group of people who were so moved by gratitude and so generous because of it that it literally changed the world. The joy that they brought to their community had ripple effects that literally continued for 2,000 years. There were these people that believed that Jesus gave everything for them. The Apostle Paul, who taught the teachings of Jesus after Jesus was gone, he referred to him as the one who loved me and gave not like one thing, but gave himself for me. And he was so moved by that he gave himself to other people. And this community of joy had ripple effects that cannot be measured. Like, we are literally here today because of the people who were moved by what Jesus had done for them. And the joy that they lived with was contagious. The generosity that they showed was contagious. People don't understand it. It's pretty cool. We have documents from the ancient world, and they're like these rulers are just like, we don't get these people. They're better to our people than we are to our people. They were just radically generous, radically grateful because of what Jesus had done for them, and radically joyful. And it changed the world. Like next level. And so my question is, what if us in here, in the first service, a couple hundred of us, what if we took steps in the direction of generosity? What if we were intentionally generous? What if we intentionally focused on the good in our lives, and because of that, out of that, looked for opportunities to give to the people around us? The joy has ripple effects. And you've seen this, if you've ever been in the store and you're like looking for a penny or a quarter or something, and all of a sudden someone reaches in their pocket and they're like, hey, I got you. It's like, wow. All of a sudden, friends, instantly, joy fills the environment. And even the cashier's like, wow, that's cool, right? It's just instant joy, and it has ripple effects. What if we all did that? What if we all made a habit of doing that? Could you imagine the ripple effects that it would have in our community, even just right here and in the surrounding areas? There's no way if a few hundred of us did that, made a habit of doing it, there's no way we'd be able to measure it. It'd be unbelievable. And so I told you, we want to make this as practical as possible. And so because we're talking about generosity, we want to give you an opportunity to give. We did this once before. We don't normally do this, but we're going to have some team members come forward, and they're going to pass buckets around. And inside the buckets, there are envelopes. And what we'd like you to do is take one of those envelopes, and inside the envelope, there's a $10 bill. And we want you to take it and put it somewhere where you'll see it. For me, we did this last year. I put it on my dashboard, the dashboard of my car. And more than anything else, it was a reminder to see the good in what I had and to look for opportunities to empty that envelope. And then to put it right back in its spot and refill it again. And again, to look for opportunities. After the first service, there were people who came up to me who were like, oh, we did that last year, and I gotta tell you what happened. You would not believe what I saw, and I gave it to him, and it was like immediately, like the situation was infused with joy. This tiny little black envelope, it is a ticket to joy. And it will teach us to look, to give. And I think we might be surprised if we're willing to do that. I think we might be surprised how crazy the ripple effects would be from just a small group of people choosing to make a habit of generosity. And so maybe for you see someone who needs $10, or maybe you take this and use it to buy a cup of coffee for someone that needs it. But you go out of your way to empty the envelope. And then I would challenge you to refill it again and make a habit. You'd be surprised how joy will follow.